Everybody. Okay, this vlog is two elements, both it's a personal life and also political life, and it's predictions for the rest of 2021 and going into 2022. Now, a lot of people are saying to me, just on a personal level, like friends and everything, that they feel they can't make a decision. They're stuck in a loop of wondering, what do we do? Should we sell? Should we move? Should we maybe invest in Bitcoin? Should we buy gold? Should we sit tight? Everyone is feeling this need to make decisions, especially those of us who follow the alternate news, not the sort of fluffy mainstream news. You kind of want to gloss things over and make it seem like everything's pretty much okay and there's going to be this big bounce and everything's going back to normal. So those of us kind of who are more inclined to look at things deeper, or worried about hyperinflation, the collapse of the commercial property market, because this whole shift to working from home is changing the whole structure of society. And now in the UK they're saying, well, you don't have to go back to work in the office. So all the businesses that rely on the commute, selling people in office buildings, their lunch, the restaurant trade, everything geared up to cater for people who are in offices and working and kind of renting, and even to the degree of you don't need to buy smart shirts and trousers. Look what you only need to have: a tracksuit or a pair of shorts, a t-shirt to work at home. So it's impacting many businesses. Obviously there'll be winners and losers, and obviously some people, the elites, have done extremely well out of this because the cost of borrowing is incredibly cheap. That's why we see BlackRock buying up all these housing estates, and even private equity firms, as reported in the Mail, wanting to bid for things like Tesco. So right at the top, the ownership structure is really changing. As I talked about in 2018 when I did my vlog on why capitalists love communism, and I talked of what I dubbed the Vulcanist agenda and the sucking of wealth and power to the top, we see this really happening in real time. The rich getting richer, and yet because the stock market's doing rather well, because they're borrowing at basically zero interest if you're a friend of those at Goldman Sachs. So you've got no expenses. You can buy up profit-making assets, you can consolidate, you can do share buybacks. So at the top level, the stock market appears to be doing well. And because the government are pumping out all this extra money and all this furlough, they're just keeping things that it looks okay on the surface, but really we'll now be paying in the UK more on national debt than on the NHS. So this isn't sustainable. We have all these currencies teetering, and like I talked about on a previous vlog, they're even taking bets on when the dollar will collapse. So obviously it's something we're all thinking about, and people are saying when. So what I've just got up here to show you is, here we have Saturn and Uranus. Now, as you can see, Saturn is 12 at the moment, going into July. Saturn is 12 degrees of Aquarius, squaring Uranus at 13 degrees of Taurus. Now, these two have been tracking each other in square for most of this year. It'll continue this year, although Saturn goes retrograde, so they move apart for a while. But in January 2021, they come together for the final time in square, and then they break apart, and Saturn speeds off towards the latter degrees of Aquarius. So I think this whole tension is caused by these two planets in square to each other because their energies are so conflicting. We've got Saturn, which is all about structure, the establishment, and it's also, Saturn is about our security needs on an individual level, all our assets, the structures of our life, the routines of our life, our money, our pensions, everything we rely on to just hold the foundations of our life. And Uranus represents rebellion, uprising, radical change. So you can see that these two energies are so different. Saturn wants to conserve, Uranus wants to destroy. And yet both of these could be perceived as our enemy, because Saturn, it's the establishment that are imposing themselves like an iron fist on our lives through all the coronavirus restrictions, and as a public we're getting more and more restless and wanting to rebel. But there's a stalemate. They're keeping imposing restrictions. We're trying to rebel and fight back, but we're stuck. Nothing's happening. Nothing is giving yet. And then also Saturn, in terms of our personal lives, we feel threatened in terms of everything we know is being changed by the change agents at the top that are pushing this whole reset thing. So whichever way you look at it, we could be on either side. We could be on the Uranus side, wanting to rebel and also wanting to have our own populist great reset, where we totally change the way things have gone for centuries in terms of the bankers' stranglehold on society by Bitcoin and whatever. And in this case, they are represented by Saturn. Or Saturn could represent our individual basic lives that we don't really want rocked to the core. But the fact that they're in square shows nothing much is happening. They're both holding each other in check, and nothing has happened to give us all a sense of where things are going yet. Will we win? Will they win? What's going to happen? So I think that will continue, but I do think during July, with the two at square, there may be a sense of protests erupting. It may not only be anti-lockdown, it could be a rerun of something like George Floyd, an uptick of violence, in terms of all sorts, encompassing all sorts of different violence, just almost a pressure cooker effect where people can't contain themselves anymore. So during July, we may see an uptick in all sorts of kind of social unrest. So on one hand, we've got an increasing level of frustration and more people beginning to wake up and to find these restrictions ridiculous, contradictory, see things like Ascot and the G7 that they aren't complying. On the other hand, the government are absolutely anxious to keep the narrative going, to keep pushing their fear, their psychological, behavioral, psychological operations. You've got those two. Plus, I think there may be an increase, like I say, in social unrest, but that could kind of be manipulated to create a news story that's a big distraction and to get people heavily focused on maybe racial issues again, to distract us all from what's really going on. I think those are some of the events we'll be seeing in July. I don't think financially there'll be anything really breaking. I think it could be quite a slow summer in terms of things, definitely in the crypto market and with Bitcoin. I think everything's going to go into a lull, where the coins, as you know, they're kind of struggling at the moment. So I think there'll be a lull over the summer, and then as we go into September, and as Saturn goes retrograde and moves away from Uranus, I think it'll be easier for us on a personal level to start planning, develop strategies. I think it'll be easier then for us to see what's going to happen. So from a personal level, I think decision making will improve for us between September and November as there's a lot more clarity. I think then we'll be able to see the direction it's going to go. Has the pushback been successful? Are they doubling down? Where's it going? And also we'll be able to see come September a little bit more signs of where it's going financially, what's going to happen with the inflation and all that. So I think it's going to be a slow summer in terms of our personal lives and the political. Everything's just at a kind of stalemate, apart from flashpoints in July with protest. Early January, Saturn, like I said, in Uranus square for the last time, and I think that is going to be a pivotal point. If this whole cyber polygon with lots of shutdowns in electricity is going to happen, I think that's an area to be cautious of. Maybe get well stocked up early December so that whatever happens in January, you're ready. You may even want to start stocking up on basics and now before prices go up, because January I think could be a really difficult time, a turning point, and then, as I say, a turning point, a crisis point, and then we'll go into 2022 where I think everything that's been building up is going to start unraveling in various ways, and it could get quite chaotic. So take advantage of the break kind of this summer where not much is happening. Don't put too much pressure on yourselves to make decisions. I think it'll be clearer September, October, November to make those important. You don't have to come to final decisions, but you can start developing strategy and just getting ready, and then wait to see what happens in January. Could be rather interesting period, I think, January. And we also are going to have, of course, Jupiter moving into Pisces permanently. It's got a flirting with Pisces at the moment, but as you can see, it's going retrograde here. It'll be going back into Aquarius. But with Jupiter in Pisces, it's going to focus all our minds on the spiritual. So for all of you guys who enjoy meditation, breath work, religion, any kind of spiritual pursuit, I think it's definitely time to start being more in tune with your spiritual side. And I think that you cannot make decisions on logic and common sense alone right now, because there's never going to be enough information. So anything that you can do to enhance your intuition and connect maybe with your third eye, like some people say, or just use prayer or meditation to enhance your ability to see beyond the mayhem. Do that as much as possible, because Jupiter in Pisces is calling us all to have a spiritual reawakening, to connect with the spiritual side of life, to use that to make better decisions, and to just see things from a more holistic point of view, so we don't get trapped in the material, because I think materially things are not going to be the same at all. And we'll probably look back and see, oh, we didn't realize how good we had it, because materially things are going to change. That's why it's going to force us to explore the spiritual side of life more. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it, and I do want to do something a little bit later if I get a chance. Love to you all. Hope you guys are doing well. By the way, if you want a PDF of any of my books, that's all the star signs, particularly for women in love, Aries Woman in Love, Taurus Woman, etc., etc. I've got all of those. There's the moon sign, understanding your man. So if you know your man's moon sign, that's a good one. There's the moon magic books if you're interested in using the cycle of moon to supercharge your goals and ambitions. This tells you all about that. And gosh, other books as well, I can't even remember. But those are the basic ones. If you'd like a copy of those, they're not available on Amazon or anything, so if you want a copy of those in PDF form in exchange for donation via PayPal, I'd be happy to send them to you, and you can contact me via my website, which I have in the link below.